My name is Elena, and this is my channel that I like to talk about my life with regards survival from narcissistic abuse, which is not a word I'd normally use under these circumstances. I'd made an intro video which I thought previously would have taken about, I said I was going to take 2 to 4 days to upload this, but I wound up instead about pretty much taking 2 months just to re-upload another video, or even get round to uploading the intro video, which will probably be cut into 2 pieces now that I think about it. I have to be careful because it's not the first time I've been in circumstances where I've been stalked, and sometimes even like cyber stalking, even though again it's not something I like to talk about. And I thought I'd like to make a video diary as well, starting with this channel, so this is just a loose introduction, because all my life I believed something was horribly wrong with me, and that I was even crazy, and I had almost every single mental diagnosis under the sun, to the point I would sometimes, when I was younger, years ago, just go around diagnosing myself, but rather than diagnosing myself, I would actually just go around and tell people I have some kind of disorder based on, very little facts, even, or no evidence. But since I was told this all my life by, well, mostly my mother, and to a lesser extent, I'd say my siblings, but the thing is, for the most part, they were just flying monkeys, I suppose. Most definitely flying monkeys, as it's taken me a while to come around to actually trying to upload anything, because I'm not one to talk face to face with people about these things. In the past I've written a lot, but mostly to distract myself, in a sense, from who I am and my identity. And also another thing is, I spent most of my life thinking all these problems I perceived just simply to be of my imagination, and that I had a very good imagination, apparently, according to my mother, and maybe to a lesser extent certain teachers. I say quote unquote imagination sometimes with a smirk, or in reports implying that the imagination somehow contributes to disability, which is frankly quite insane. I'm surprised that despite all this subtle and covert, like, jabs and assumptions and things I've grown up with, that, again, that it all ties down to my imagination. And I'm surprised I did not, like, split into different personalities or even alter egos. In fact, when I was younger, I always dreamt of trying to have alter egos and make different personalities, but I never quite managed to bring out any facets of my personality, which all in all just resulted in a completely monotone or completely blank facet of who I am, to the point that even friends I've known, or acquaintances or family since I was a child, I feel like they have never ever known me. Even I sometimes think my parents never knew me, nor my siblings, but they didn't. So that certainly did not stop them from copying and replicating the best parts of my personality, which eventually I'm going to talk about in a separate video sometime soon, where I think I've had aspects of my personality literally stolen and copycatted to so many times. Even my own mother has done so. All my siblings have done so, as I'm the oldest. And even to a less extent in recent years, I've noticed a strange, subtle behaviour where I've noticed also this very strange behaviour in recent years where you'd think the people that have tried to copy me would simply be girls in my age group, but this went as far as I've had guys, mostly even sometimes older than me, like taking my words, taking my even more strangely, it's, unless I'm imagining it, taking my style, the way I dress, even every journey I ever took or travel or anything I've tried to work towards, all of a sudden I'd find my male friends trying to do very similar things to me, all of a sudden out of the blue, or them even claiming to be experts when formerly I get the impression they probably would have mocked me if I'd started talking about it in high school, which is quite strange. Girls around my age group did not try to copy me so much, more so I was excluded, and like some YouTuber has said, which I can't remember the name of right now, mentioned using that they'd been used by friends growing up, and even maybe even their adulthood, as some accessory, like a small dog or a toy that can be put away in a cupboard, instead of being able to actually interact with these people on an equal level. I grew up with that problem most of my life, where I was never included as part of any groups or female friends unless I jumped through their hoops, followed all their rules, to the point of even humiliation, which I found absolutely atrocious, because not only did they expect me to dress like them and act like them, or even own certain things which I could have never imagined owning, like expensive like accessories or clothes. I know not all people are like that, of course, but it just seems like a lot of these people, even if they did not adhere to those rules or enforce them on other people, they simply just would never talk to you if you did not have the same pencil case as them, or the same style as them, or a whole bunch of friends of your own since nursery. I've never really grown up in small towns, although maybe I have done, but I've moved so often that I've never been able to stick around, to the point that even in the last year upon high school graduation, it got to the point where I was excluded from hanging out with certain people from because they literally one day a group of girls came up to me, and a leader, or I presume, came up to me, hands on the hips, saying, "Oh, we're really sorry, but like this is only for like a childhood friend school reunion." At that point, I knew already I was being stupid to even imagine for 1 second, I could even, attend like a ceremony or an event after end of school event, after, being rejected so many times. But this got to the point where a lot of people I've known still act like this to this day, which is ridiculous. And I'm not a accessory that can just simply be put away in a cupboard, but they've always made it that way. Sometimes they'd make me jump through all these loops when I was, hoops I'd say, when I was younger, because, to the point of making me look like an idiot and being mocked by other boys. Even got to the point where girls in primary school would exclude me, and because they'd exclude me, then I'd find myself with no one to play with growing up. I was quite a quiet child. I never started on other people unless they were, of course, very physically aggressive on me. I'd only, at worst, try and defend myself, which, to my dismay, resulted in detention for defending myself against boys, even though I spent all my time alone. And it got to the point where, because they excluded me, the girls in the playground rules, it seems, I ended up attracting more problems from boys, which got worse and worse, starting from the very first day of school, I'd even say, where I noticed one thing, that sometimes these leaders of these girl groups when I was much younger, very young, when I started school, seemed to learn their manipulation tactics and their smear campaigns at an unbelievably young age, and somehow it seems completely acceptable for them to go around spreading a smear campaign. I didn't know those words back then, obviously, but it seems to be encouraged, or was encouraged growing up, for girls to use this kind of hierarchy, this pecking order, which I never quite understood. I tried to follow some rules, but it was pointless if I couldn't even get into the bottom rung. And I noticed multiple times these, sometimes as young as 5-6-year-old girls would go up to boys and whisper in their ears, point in my direction, And this resulted in sometimes, like, most of the time it was not, to begin with, like, physical abuse, but literally bordering on to full-on sexual harassment, which is one thing I've never ever told my parents or my siblings, because for one, I felt there was no point telling them, as no one would believe me, or that somehow I would have provoked it, which was a common occurrence, that I always provoked fights, apparently. But they probably would have assumed the worst case